Hello, everybody. Welcome to what is the first and may or may not be a series of podcasts that Clann and Banna have commissioned. The Cultural Committee have commissioned. My name is Connor Lunny, for those of you who don't know me. I'm an ex-player of Clann and Banna, now exiled up in Belfast here. And I'm still a Clann man at heart, as you may or may not know. But joining me is another person who has changed club and is now not just a Clann woman, but the most important Clann woman. She's our new chairperson, Emma Loughlin. Very welcome, Emma.
Thank you very much, Connor. Thank you.
So this new direction that the Clann has taken under your leadership, is this one of your ideas, Emma, the podcasts, or can you explain or give the listeners a bit of background as to how this has come to be?
No, it wasn't my idea at all. It was the idea of Fran McAvoy. So we were kind of trying to look at ideas of how to engage new audiences during this current lockdown.
Yeah.
Because none of us can get out onto the pitch and train or do the usual things that happen at the start of our GA calendar.
Yeah.
So we thought it would be a good idea to maybe have a podcast, kind of interview people within the club, and then hopefully whenever we're able to get back to leagues, that we're able to maybe use it as maybe pre and post match analysis and things like that. So which could be a bad thing, maybe pre match, but certainly hopefully that it'll come to be something that will go either every month or weekly, but we're just starting off now, so hopefully it'll be a new kind of thing within the club.
Very good, very good. Well, I'm sure most people, if not everybody in the Clann and indeed the greater Banbridge area, know of you, and there was a very good write-up in the Banbridge Chronicle there a few weeks ago. Can you tell us a wee bit about yourself for those small amount of people, the minority, who might not know you, Emma? Where'd you come from, first part?
Where to come? Okay, so originally, just outside Lawrencetown, which is in the parish of Tullylish, and so my whole family is involved with the Tullylish Club.
Yeah. What was your maiden name, Emma, for anyone who doesn't know?
So mine was Emma Morgan.
Yeah, and the Morgans, for people who don't know, would be, well, I know myself, massive family out in Tullylish.
Tullylish, yeah.
Yeah,
very much. Yeah, well, Emma be a cousin of mine, Emma and Declan, and my brother be Tom. So a lot of people get us mixed up. They think we're just one big, huge, gigantic family, but no, we're split up. So a lot of cousins and relations within the area. Huge GAA family, from underage right up to senior, and now the new generation is coming along now and playing for Tullylish. So I played for Tullylish senior ladies at the very start of kind of ladies within GAA in the early 90s.
Yes.
And I can remember very well the first ever training session with 50 women up at Tullylish. And I remember thinking to myself, this is either going to go horribly wrong or it's going to become absolutely fantastic. And it was fantastic. And it was just great because I always had a passion for football and would play ball with my brother in the garden and my cousins, but I couldn't play it because there was no team for me to play on. And it was great having that kind of role now that I was able to go and train and play instead of standing in the kitchen making the obligatory ham sandwiches for the matches.
Well, I was going to ask you about that later on. I actually have a note to ask you about that in the modern world room. Maybe we'll skip to that now.
Yeah.
In and around that time and over the years you played for Tullylish ladies, did you finally get a sense of belonging that you might have previously not quite had? You were maybe not a hanger-on, but it was seen as essentially a football club, as would every football club around County Down and indeed Ireland, catered towards men and young lads and teenage boys, and the women did a bit of administrating and literally made sandwiches and changed the kits.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I remember my poor mother would have been standing washing jerseys, maybe 3 sets of jerseys.
Yeah.
And I was expected to go and hang them out in the line.
Yeah.
You know, with playing, it kind of gave you a sense of being a part of the team and being a part of the club.
Yeah.
You know, being able to put that jersey on like it's like your skin, you know,
Oh,
you
no,
put
I
it on,
understand. Yeah.
you're
And
part of that team,
something
you
obviously
know.
as a male I never really understood, but just listening to you say that there,
Yeah,
we obviously took it for granted because we joined the club to play football. And I know
yeah,
Banbridge a while ago, and I know some very committed volunteers tried to get a girls' football team started maybe 15, 20 years ago. And it started well, but it tailed off. But
yeah,
now, as chairperson, you can speak to him, and this is your chance to try and sell Banbridge to
yeah.
females in the local area. What do the Clann have in place now for girls, firstly teenage girls, and indeed um, ladies?
Well, first of all, we have an amazing coach, Pete McCartan
Yes.
from Downpatrick. Pete has a wealth of knowledge regarding training Gaelic for girls, Gaelic for mothers and others.
Yeah.
So basically, at the minute, we have an under 12s and under 14 team that are playing competitively in leagues, done exceptionally well last year, and we're beaten by a point, a few points actually, in the championship against Jamara.
Yeah.
And to be honest, and I'm not being biased, but there was a real amazing display of skills in football between both teams on that day.
Yeah.
And I think for anybody who is interested or has a girl that wants to play football, I really recommend that you know, come along and have a watch. We train on a Saturday morning, hopefully when we get back to
Yeah.
normal. And you know, a great bunch of girls. We also have a juvenile section as well, so it starts from P1. Um, so P1 up to around P7,
Yes.
and a great. It's another opportunity for younger people, younger kids, or families that have just moved into the area that aren't sure of where to send their kids to.
Yeah.
We have an amazing juvenile program, especially with Gaelic for girls, and great coaches. And I think our premise at the minute now is to hopefully in the next years to get an under 16 girls team and then eventually a senior ladies team.
Brilliant. Brilliant
I
stuff.
think we're striving full force for that.
Good stuff. So your career playing football for Tullerlish ended when?
Okay, so it ended quite abruptly.
Yeah.
I think I started playing when I was around 13, 14, and it ended when I was about 19. I don't know about yourself, Connor, but social life kind of takes over training and matches.
Yeah. Well, some would
And
say, I'm not sure. Well, I'll let other people judge. I would have had a reputation for being able to balance the two. Now, I'm not sure how well I balanced them, but I was the king of the Sags at one stage or another. Various managers threatened to throw me off the panel for just literally never being there. But anyway, that's another story. So you chose
so
social life.
I chose, well, it happened kind of, it was difficult. I was at university,
Yeah.
schedules weren't working out. And then, of course, I met a man from Banbridge and I kind of hung the boots up with
Very good.
injury, and that was it. So I haven't
Okay.
been near or part of the club for about 20 years.
Now, your words there, you met a man from Banbridge. And again, nearly everyone listening to this podcast will know who he is. But for anyone who doesn't, and I wonder is he in the background there listening, who is
He's
that
not.
man? Is he not there? No.
He's actually in the sitting room. No, yeah. So Mark Loughlin, aka Lockie,
Yeah.
yeah, kind
Yeah.
of wandered into my life. Much to a disgruntled brother who was kind of slightly annoyed that I was kind of seeing a clan man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But after a few introductions, I think kind of went okay for a
Yeah.
while, yeah.
It thawed a bit, those relations.
After 15 years of
After
marriage, I
15
think
years,
we're it's completely thawed out now.
they now acknowledge each other, at least in the same room, do they?
Yeah.
Okay, well, obviously I know Lockie nearly all my life. Good,
Hmm.
not a good few years older than me, a couple of years older than me, but he would have been my teammate for 15, 20
Yeah.
years, and then my manager, and a drinking buddy, and a dancing buddy, and whatever else. So you said then you came to Banbridge, you live in Banbridge with Mark, isn't that right?
Yeah. So from we've been married, so we've been married 15 years. So I've been living in Banbridge for 15 years, you
And
know.
I'd obviously seen you up at our senior games, and towards the end of my career, the odd reserve game as well.
Yeah.
What took you, if anything, or what was the reasoning behind you joining the committee?
Well, 4 years ago, I was asked if I would like to be the the cultural officer for the club and
Yes.
joined the committee. And I kind of always wanted to get involved, but I wasn't sure how. You don't like, I suppose as human nature, you like to be asked to be involved.
Yeah.
So I was asked and I joined the cultural committee and, well, sorry, I was cultural officer, there was no committee at that point. So there was no kind of cultural background within the club,
Yes.
nothing. Maybe a few bits and pieces with score, but nothing very serious. So of course I went straight in and we got a ballad group together for score.
Yeah.
And it was just three of us, three girls, and we got to the down final.
And can I ask,
Score.
what did you play or sing, Emma, in those?
It was we just sung. None of us could play an instrument, so we just sang a cappella, three of us.
And
So
you have a background in that, Emma?
so well, after a bottle of wine, I would have a good background in it. But
Don't we all?
yes, I would be known to sing a bit, and probably better with other people than on my own. But
You're being very hard on yourself.
but from that, I got involved with Barney and Mandy Campbell,
Yeah.
who kind of really helped push the culture aspect of the club. I was able then to run Irish classes, which I taught myself, to committee members of the club.
Yes.
And then next minute we are running culture classes in St. Patrick's on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And we're rolling out Irish classes, we're rolling out tin whistle classes, banjo, bodhrán, guitar lessons, which was a huge success.
And who, obviously I know that the individuals involved, but who else would have helped you with those cultural and the musical side of things, Emma, around the club?
Well, it would have been Barney Campbell, and then we had Sean Donnelly from Parts of Rogues,
Yes.
and then we would have lots of different people coming in each week. We had the Irish, out of the Irish News, we had Robert McMillan, who is the writer for Antolish, which is the Irish page. He came in and had a chat to our Irish speakers who were going for their Fáinne at the time.
Yeah.
So that was very good. So he was quite involved and would still be quite involved in sending through information and stuff.
Very good.
And
is it correct to say, sorry, I might come across you, but again, in case, and the hope is that we do reach other people who might not know about the ethos of the GAA, but just for the avoidance of doubt, all this spare time that you put into, and indeed the other spare time that other people put into, it's completely voluntary. It's part of the ethos of the GAA.
Yeah, all completely voluntary, and that's the beauty of the GAA. We're all giving up our time.
Yes.
But the thing, I think, what really kind of hit home was that we weren't able to offer anything to our members or anybody within the wider community that wasn't Gaelic games related.
Yeah.
And as you know, GAA encompasses culture as a part of that organisation.
Yeah.
That So to me, I thought, okay, let's use the skills of the people that we have in the club.
Yeah.
And try and roll out something.
And there's so much talent within the club as well, isn't there?
Oh, unbelievable. And even the cultural committee also set up Easter camp, which obviously wasn't able to run last Easter. And we had 120 kids come to our Easter camp, and it was all Irish language, traditional Irish music, dance, Gaelic games, and we had kids from across the whole entire community, which was fantastic.
Yes.
And Conor, also within our classes, we also have members of the Protestant community who got their silver Fáinnes as well. So, to me, that's what it's about. It's being inclusive and, being able to roll out our culture across the area is very important.
Yeah. And again, you might have had a different view, but whenever I was growing up, obviously I've been a member of Clann and my dad played for my granddad. I'm not sure whether they were still Clann or under a different name. And all my uncles at one stage or another. So my family would have been deeply invested in Clann. But whenever I went to St. Coolman's, I'm sure that your experience might have been similar, albeit Tullalish, I think, probably would have had more roots.
Yeah.
I sometimes looked on in envy at the bigger, or what were known as the bigger clubs, the country clubs.
Yeah.
Not just because they were better. Football was the word, they had a bigger pick. But
Yeah.
the broader GA ethos, the Burns, Clonduffs, Mayo Bridges, they
Yeah.
seem to be better at everything. Not just, you know, the under 16 fellas beating us, trouncing us in league matches, but
Yeah.
they would win the score, or they get the final of the score in an Ogue, or the
Yeah.
Clann guest in the quiz.
Yeah.
And the Clann, for, and I'm obviously not putting down or demeaning the people who are trying, but and there were always and have been people trying, but
Yeah.
there seemed to be, for such a big pick and a biggish town, either people not willing to show their talents, or maybe afraid or a bit shy about showing their talents, and it was there all along. But Clann, it was obviously just hiding in the background. It needed somebody to try and take it out. And I'm not talking about the football, I'm talking about the broader cultural things. Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, I have a reason for that, Connor,
Yeah.
and I think the reason was that Fran McAvoy wasn't involved, because she just tortures everybody. And if you have a talent at all that Fran knows about, you're in,
Yes.
and there's no discussion about the situation, you're in. And not only just that, I mean, within Banbridge area too, you know, there's the rugby club, we have hockey, we have soccer,
Yeah.
lots of different other kind of sporting associations that, you know, rural areas don't have.
Yeah. And there's
So,
distractions, I suppose, without slagging people,
yeah,
discos and pubs that
yeah,
would be more accessible to people living in the town that might not be to people living rurally, because taxis would be hard to come by, or they'd have to walk 2 or 3 miles. But having
yeah,
everything on your doorstep sometimes give distractions, not necessarily
exactly.
bad things, to young people at that sort of
Yeah,
crossroads in their life, 15 or
yeah.
16 or 17, and they choose socializing forever and they don't come back to the club.
Well, I have to say, you know, when we're talking about, for instance, score,
Yeah.
when I look at it, we have actually boys in our score in Oak who are 15 years old,
Yeah.
who are getting up there and are probably, let's be, 15 years old is difficult
Yeah.
enough without getting up there in front of a room full of people and playing an instrument within a group.
Yeah.
And, you know, to me, I thought that's a real turning point, because when we went to score, there was 20 or 30 young men
Yeah.
of 15 years old singing and doing lots of different things, and they weren't being slagged off by their teammates.
Exactly.
Now, that's now, but I think that's the culture we're in because of social media and X Factor and all these kind of talent shows.
Yes.
Now, if that had been 20 years ago, I think it would have been a different story, because it was a kind of a different, it was kind of a
Different attitude
different kind of
towards.
a look. Yeah.
Yeah. I
You know,
agree.
and I suppose score wouldn't have been as popular as, you know, playing football.
Yeah.
But I do think the cultural side of things has you know, well, we can only go from the last 4 years, but it's definitely went in the right direction, and it's only getting higher.
That is, well, again, I'm not so much an outsider, but a person living outside of Banbridge, obviously still, as I said at the outset, I'm a Clann man at heart, but I rely on whoever is over the Facebook feed and the Twitter feed. I'm not sure whether it's still Tony Toots Campbell, but
Yeah,
literally I rely on that to get me information, or indeed mum or dad if they hear something in the town, or reading the Chronicle every week. But were it
yeah,
not for those social media, and again the voluntary hours that people like Toots put in, and Mandy and Barney and everybody in Fran, I would be disconnected from the club.
yeah,
So it is an important thing. And again, you can comment on this probably better than me, but I'd like to think that maybe Clann have led the way in that regard, whereas the country clubs might have had more of a tradition in the broader ethos of the GA in terms of using technology to reach
yeah.
out to potential members. The Clann seem to be leading the way.
Absolutely. And now we have Maria Toman on board.
Yeah.
So Maria does a lot of you know, social media posts for the LGFA and girls football within the club. So her and Tony have a great kind of, you know, relationship within that. They both work it out very well.
Yes.
But with, you know, with that, it takes that kind of, I am not a social media person at all. I'll be really nosy on Facebook. No, you just nosy. I won't
Yeah.
comment, but I'm
Yeah.
nosy at people. But they're good at engaging, and I think that's what it's about. And it's all about likes and shares. And, you know, at the minute there's various competitions being run within the club for underage. We're also doing like I don't know if you've seen it or not, but we're doing a competition through Strava,
I saw it
walking
earlier on. Yeah.
competition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, all this is really good for the club, and especially with social media, is great to open that up to the wider community.
Yeah.
And, that's what I would say to people who are out there that have seen posts and have seen things that's going on within the club, to engage and to, send in a message and find out what's going on, or find out when trainings are, or if they would like to become a member.
Yeah.
And, there's always somebody, I know Maria and Toots are very good at getting back to people.
You said before we come on air as if we're professionals here, Emma, but before we started pressing record here about a brief chat, just letting each other know what we're going to talk about. And you said something that stuck in my mind. You said quite often you'd be in Banbridge and you'd see people, boys and girls, men and women, walking up and down, maybe not in this weather, but with GAA tops on of certain clubs or counties, but they're not members of Clann Banna. Now, is there anything, well, I know what you're going to say, but what is your message to those people if they're listening, if we've managed to reach them?
Obviously you have you like Gaelic games, or whether it be football or cultural aspect of it. But if you yourself or your children or your wife, anybody wants to get involved, come up, send us a message. There's something there to suit everybody in the family.
Yeah.
Don't think because, you've moved into the area that, I'd be afraid to go up and, just rock up the club if there's a match on. Listen, make yourself known and we'll certainly make you very welcome and tell you everything that's going on. Because, I would say from the girls' football and the Gaelic for Mothers have started, that we have so many women and children and families from counties all over Ireland.
Yes.
And it's great to see. And, that's what I'm reaching out to. If you want to get involved, if you want to come up and have a look, or you want to know what we're doing, just get in contact with any of us on the committee or via Facebook, and we'll certainly get you involved.
A strange thing occurred to me whenever we ran the second Strictly night. Was it 3 autumns ago or 2 autumns ago? I was struck by, obviously, people who don't know, myself and Stephen Green were the compers. I was struck by the camaraderie, not just of the dancers and the people who were performing, but by the camaraderie and the togetherness of, and it was mostly ladies, so not being sexist, the committee who organised it. And they seemed to be having as much fun, if not more, because they weren't stressed and they weren't under pressure to perform like the dancers. And it's a strange thing to say, but if there's anybody out there who actually wishes to get involved in the admin side of things, is it correct to say the admin side of running a local GAA club isn't as boring as it sounds? It's actually a lot of crack, because it's mostly a social outlet, isn't it?
Absolutely. And although I know our secretary, Gavin Soupy, is fantastic when it comes to administration and things like that. However, there's a lot of different subcommittees.
Exactly. So that's what I was pointing at, the subcommittees, the fundraisers or the special events.
And of course,
is it correct to say you've been involved in those too? It's equally as much crack in the build up to the organising, the run around, and the crack you have.
Oh, absolutely.
Performance.
The crack's great, and you know what? There's always drama goes on, but you can always laugh about it afterwards. And there's always, no matter how well you try to organise it, there's always something that happens. But listen, it's all about the experiences. And you know what? From not knowing anybody really within the club 4 years ago, I can honestly say that I have made some real lifetime friends within that 4 years.
Well, isn't that the spirit of the GAA?
Yeah, it really is. And you know what? People that would drop anything to come to help you if you're in bother or in trouble.
Yeah.
So to me, again, it's more than just a club.
Well, that's one of the few. We're going to finish quite shortly because I think we're running up to half an hour now at this stage, Emma. But that's something, in your own words, in our wee pre-conversation, that you told me you wanted to clear up. I think, quote, you wanted to clear this Tullalish thing up. I asked you what you meant by that. I thought you wanted to try and put a truce or build some bridges. What do you mean by that? Well, firstly, we know you're from Tullalish. We know your family background, steeped in Tullalish lore, and you've married into the Loughlin family, who are in turn then equally entrenched in Banbridge. What do you work as during the day? What's your day job, Emma?
So I'm a business development manager for Lockview Timber.
Yes. And what's Lockview Timber to those who don't know?
So they are the sponsor for Tullish seniors.
Yes.
So, you know, there's two members of my work colleagues, or two of my work colleagues, who take every opportunity to kind of, you know, nip and get at you.
Yes.
So words like turncoat, steak knife, you know, different things like that, all in good humor. So I just kind of thought, you know, when it came to the point where I became chairperson, I think it kind of clicked that, okay, maybe she does mean business. Maybe this isn't just a bit of crack, you know, maybe there is going to be something that's going to happen here. But let's face it, you know, it is what it is. And we're always like, listen, I have relatives all over the area, all over here, all of this area, you know, Achaderg and everywhere. And when it does get to family gatherings, there is a choral talk about football. And do you remember the time when I accidentally hit you in the face? Or do you remember the time I did this? Do you remember the time I knocked you out and your mum near killed me? You know, this type of conversation. So, you know, the thing is, to my work colleagues, you know, this woman's not for being turned, you know. Let's just say it like that.
Nicely said, Emma. She's red and black now. We have her now. But on a serious point, not too serious, isn't that what it's all about? Wouldn't it be a poorer place if we didn't have Tullerlish and Clone and even Ahaderg?
Yeah.
You know, sport in a vacuum wouldn't be the same crack at all.
No.
Now, that's not to say we have to like each other when it comes to Derby Day. And it can, if it does filter down to the under-10s, so be it. But at the end of the day, well, you tell me your view of this. We're both striving towards the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the only thing I think is going to be difficult, possibly in years to come, hopefully, that is when my nephews, my Tullish nephews, start maybe playing against my Clann nephews and nieces. I think that they'll maybe get out of the country.
Yeah, your
but
spirit of inclusivity might not stretch that far, Emma.
Maybe not so.
You're the chairperson for all, apart from that day.
Exactly.
It reminds me of an old quote. Obviously, I'm a big soccer fan as well, but the ex-president of Real Madrid famously said, if Barcelona, their great rivals, didn't exist, Real Madrid would have to invent them. So I think the same is probably fair to say. And I'm sure those ones down the road in Lawrencetown would be saying the same as us. If we didn't exist, the crack wouldn't be the same at all.
No.
Now, we're going to wrap up fairly shortly, and we're going to give you the last word on the matter, but there are 3 quick questions I just have to ask you, Emma. I was supposed to do this at the start of the podcast to try and break the ice, but thankfully you're a very easy interviewee. Firstly, nice and quickly, Friar Tuck's chips or Joe Burns' chips?
Joe Burns, all the way.
Correct answer, God rest him. Secondly, and this is following on from the conversation we just had, would you rather see the Clann and Banna win the Intermediate Championship or Tullerlish relegated to the Junior Championship? Now,
win the championship. Win the championship.
Correct. There's an obvious and correct answer for the current chairwoman of Banbridge, Banna Banna. And finally, and this is a serious one, you're stuck in a desert island with no escape. But you have to share it for eternity with one person. Which of them is it going to be? Garvin Bradley or Leonard Russell?
I don't know what we would do without both of them.
Well, you have to choose one. It's not so much the clan, it's you yourself personally. You're going to be stuck on the island, Emma, unfortunately. I
would say, just purely on football tactics, I would say Garvin.
Very good. I thought you were going to say both there, which would continue your spirit of inclusivity. Look, Emma, we'll give you the final word as chairwoman this year and hopefully for many years to come. You can possibly set out for us your ambition and your challenges and the goals that Clann and Banna face, obviously during lockdown and hopefully whenever this lockdown eases, but then further afield and what you hope and aspire for the club as you're taking us forward.
First thing I hope is that we can finally get through this pandemic and get out onto the pitch safely. Obviously there's a concern, about, the mental health of all of our players and our children, and, we think when we're out on the pitch that, you know, we're all together and we're able to be together, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think secondly is, you know, push ahead and keep fundraising and try and make the club as best as what it can be.
Yeah.
And I know that, listen, we all have, there's plans in place for the next 5 to 10 years. So it would be great to be a part of, you know, helping to implement those plans.
Yeah.
And I think thirdly, I would love to see the club grow more with new members and also members from all sides of the community.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm very passionate about. And I hope that, you know, in years to come, that that'll be something that we won't have to talk about, and that it will be, you know, inclusive, and that we can, you know, build on it. So
Brilliant. Brilliant. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
thank you.
I hope to see some of the fruits of your labour shortly. And as I said, I'd share the sentiment that we get back out onto the field and back into the committee room shortly, and we start having that social life that we crave for. Thanks a million, Emma Loughlin. This has been the Clann podcast. I'm sure somebody has a better name than that.
Oh yeah, I think it's Keeping Up with the Clann.
Keeping Up with the Clann. That's exactly what it was. Brilliant. Emma Loughlin, thanks a million.
Slán.
Slán and ish. Going to press stop here. Hopefully
Stop, yeah.